In this video essay, I will be discussing how Joi McMillion has expanded the grammar of film editing, becoming a pioneer within the industry. In 2016, Joi made history for her work on her first feature film credit,
La La Land.
There's a mistake. Moonlight.
becoming the first female African-American to be nominated for an Academy Award for Best Film Editing. One of the common praises for Moonlight was for being a socially conscious work of art, as essential as it is insightful. However, in an era where studios and filmmakers are increasing the diversity in their projects in order to capitalise on the recent popularity with the disenfranchised, Moonlight's success and social impact surpass that of its peers, and it's greatly due to one thing: authentic representation.
Is that right?
And Joi's contributions on her recent projects Moonlight, Lemon, and If Beale Street Could Talk are triumphant examples of diversity's positive impact on the edit. Let me explain. Editors are in charge of organising, reviewing, selecting and assembling the footage captured during production, giving the editor the responsibility of creating a narrative that guides audiences to the desired emotional response. When describing her approach to editing, McMillion expressed a preference to prioritising transitioning audiences' attention between compelling performances, which she then builds the scene around. Considering the typical 90-minute film averages between 600 to 700 cuts, a lot of footage is left on the cutting room floor. Unfortunately, Hollywood's neglect of diverse behind-the-scenes talent, despite the representation depicted on screen, can cause a disconnect between minority consumers and creators when it comes to scenes they believe are important to keep or remove. In an interview with Michael Hornan, McMillion expresses that
being a person of color, there's a responsibility that you have to your community. Like when people, do ethnic stories, there's a lot of cliches that they tend to play into. And so we were looking for truth and honesty in the characters that we wanted to present.
And her contributions on Barry Jenkins' 2019 adaptation of If Beale Street Could Talk is no exception. Joi's use of a non-linear narrative consisting of juxtaposing flashback montages capitalise on the film's lengthy 119-minute runtime, allowing audiences to process the impact of the emotionally charged plot. McMillion's character-focused approach to editing led to the inclusion of prolonged scenes of actors staring directly into the camera in an attempt to take audiences' passive empathy and turn it active. In a Q&A, when questioned on the film's success in depicting a 1970s set drama that reflected modern discourse, Jenkins acknowledged the inclusion of Joi's female gaze during production as essential in conveying the authentic depiction of black love and societal injustices from the perspective of a black woman. He went as far as exclaiming,
And so this is what happens when you have a woman helping you tell a woman's story.
Janitska Bravo's darkly absurd comedy Lemon marked McMillion's first sole feature film credit, allowing her more freedom in the edit. Heavily influenced by the editing style featured in Hal Ashby's The Landlord, McMillion uses a more formalist style of editing, seamlessly transitioning between the film's narrative and bizarre fourth wall breaks by the protagonist. Bravo details a scene which particularly inspired McMillion's edit, in which a seemingly uninterrupted conversation changes location mid-scene, symbolising the
rush and the emotion of when you meet someone and you have feelings for them and how time moves and space moves, and yet it's still this one conversation.
Now let's go back to the film that started it all, Moonlight. Jenkins' inclusion of McMillion on the production stemmed from the professional and personal relationship the pair formed in film school, creating a synchronised post-production process able to create a very intimate portrayal of African-American life and the struggle of finding your identity, especially as an intersectional minority. McMillion's sound design diverts from the conventions of stereotypical hood stories, substituting rap for a chopped and screwed orchestral rhythm. The film's narrative is extremely subjective to Shiren's experience. Therefore, at pivotal emotional moments, McMillion's editing moves to a much more aggressively formulist style, including a heavy focus on non-diegetic rhythm changes to reflect the protagonist's attributes as he develops from Little to Chiron to Black. However, the string melody from Little's score persists within Black's, which McMillion uses to symbolise his consistent struggle in repressing Little and his sexual identity while reinforcing the circular narrative, aligning with the film's three-act structure in a way that attributes emotional significance to the score. McMillion's recent successes highlight the power diversity can have post-production, potentially indicating the future trend of the grammar of the edit. With modern audiences' demand of authentic representation and a general concern with franchises' impact on the integrity of the art form, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in new eyes.